Look, there's a lot of basic AI advice out there, and today what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through 10 different ways that you can use Claude, ChatGPT, and Gemini in ways you probably never thought of before. Let's dive in. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk to Claude. Open up my favorite Super Whisper here. What I want you to do is I want you to create a artifact for me that paints a steel man and straw man picture of crime stats in San Francisco in the last decade. I want you to basically create the argument that crime has gotten worse and then crime has gotten better, and create two different sets of charts with, you can use different data, but make sure it's based on real data. Go search the web, find the data, and then create a visual of this for me. Claude can create amazing visuals and they can design things for you. And Claude is just really, really good at this. All right, that's thing one. Let's go to thing two. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to take Um, we're going to take a download that I have. Let's see where it is. Desktop, recent. Oh, I got fictional. Ah, great, main sheets. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to drop this into O3. And, all right, watch this. What I want you to do is I want you to read the CSV, understand it. Then I want you to write and execute a script that gives a holistic overview of what's in here. My goal is to basically resell this data to someone else that might find it useful. So kind of think about what they would care about, which is probably like how many phone numbers, how many emails they might want to care about, what kind of titles, who does it target. So think about this, write a script for me, and then execute it. Summarize the answer, and then give me a really crisp email that just describes what this sheet is with all of the most important stats in a sharp, crisp way. So it turns out that you can not only can you upload sheets to to ChatGPT, which obviously, but you can also ask it to reason here, and you can actually ask it to run code. Running code is the most underappreciated thing about ChatGPT and a lot of these large language models. Let's check in. Claude's still writing. That basically you can get it to think for you about what you might want to do in this role, and then you can actually have it go and do that thing, which is sort of crazy. But let's take another approach and let's actually open up this data. I'm going to show you another fantastic thing. You can only do this with AI Studio. So we're going to let's let's see. 1 minute. All right. So what we have is we have a bunch of job titles, right? So 19,000 job titles seems like a lot, right? But they're not all the same. Some of them say, really I care about the owner and like enterprise. What is that? Business owner, possible owner, founder, right? There's a lot of different variations. Well, how do you qualify this? Well, you can do this in AI now too. So the key is what you want to do is you want to click structured output, and then I crank this number up to as high as it will go before Google like dings me. I just basically throw some nines in here. And then you have to be Google AI Studio. You can't just be in Gemini. And then you can paste all of and actually you have to be careful because it'll come in as an image if this is like pretty obnoxious. So what you have to do is you have to copy all these titles. You have to go into a text editor, or you can open up the CSV in a text editor, but this is easier. So you go into your favorite text editor. Mine's taking 10 minutes to open up. All right. Then what you do is you paste and then you copy from here. This way, it actually will get it inside. And Gemini's the AI Studio is a lot faster. Great. So it has all of the titles. And then what you say is like, watch this. What I want you to do is I want you to just reprint perfectly all of the titles that are owners. Now, if there's an exact title match that is duplicated exactly, you don't have to reprint it, but I want every unique variation of a version of an owner here printed out as a title. So what we're doing now is basically I can paste all the titles into Gemini because it could take a million tokens of context. And it can literally just print out all of the unique variations of title. I can drop that back in Excel and I say, is this a title of owner? And that way you can get a really holistic understanding of everything that is actually in your list. And you can do it right in chat. It doesn't cost anything. The key is what you want to make sure is you want to make sure that the output length is really high here, which is like that you have enough tokens when it actually outputs to be able to print everything. Let's see how Claude's doing. Look at this. Crime rate 2015 to 2024. Super decline, right? All these stories about San Francisco. This is why. This is the steel man. Crime is improving. And then great. Homicide rates, historic lows. So 35 people killed in 2024, 45. This is basically flat. Property crime. Wow, look at this. So low, like 46%. Gigantic decrease. Break ins. All right. Now you can click on the straw man, right? So robberies looks like they have kind of increased, assaults and robberies. So 3,200, 3,100. It used to be 2,900. Increased 48%. Is that 48%? Doesn't look like it to me. Unreported. Oh, the estimated report unreported crimes are increasing. Oh, retail theft. That's really like that's actually been a really big thing. Um, oh, declining conviction rates for property crimes. So you can see that basically we aren't really convicting anyone above. So you see, this is an interactive way to describe two things. You can publish this and share it. This is absolutely incredible. Google AI Studio is still thinking. It's literally just going to print out all the unique titles so you can drop it back in. All right. You can see here the total records. Remember, we dropped back into ChatGPT and we wrote a script here. Unique phone numbers, unique company domains, like 75K tree and landscaping with 97% with direct phones, of 75,000 tree and landscape, perfect for ZAS. Like it wrote a great email for me too. Uh, so you could even go a step further and say, all right, how much should I sell this on based on market rate for this particular data set? So ChatGPT can actually write scripts for you. So in this case, it actually read, it spent 3 minutes and it wrote a script. So you can see import, it's like writing actual code and implementing the code. And you want to do this with O3, and it spent 3 minutes and 48 seconds. And it got a really median review count 9. It got counts by state. I didn't even have to tell it what I was doing. Immensely, immensely powerful. Let's see how if this is like a crazy one because it's uh it's going to literally print. Actually, sometimes Gemini does this in the thinking step. So so see tree company description. So what it's doing is it's iterating over every single title added earlier. So it is looking at every single example and helping you one by one. You don't have to use Excel formulas anymore. You can just drop these inside of these tools. All right, one thing that people might not appreciate here is actually getting it to write a deep research prompt for you. So don't write deep research prompts yourself. I'm trying to, there is a tool called YardZen, a company called YardZen. What I want you to do is I want you to write a crazy deep research prompt to understand everything about this company, and then I'm going to execute that. You probably already know about this company, but if you have to go and search the web, but all I'm looking for you to do is write the prompt. So it's really, really helpful to have AI write these prompts for you. So don't actually write a crazy prompt. So I always have these long, so now ChatGPT is going to write this prompt for me. I have a couple of other pieces. Let me show you. Hold on. All right, a couple of really helpful concepts. You want to warm up the chat. So it's really important to be, and that's exactly the thing. Like, look at this. See, this is exactly what warming up the chat would be. Key numbers, section deep dive, ICP, buyer persona, macro and micro trends, research methodology, output requirements, constraints, like uh 24 hours from prompt initiation. So it's created this amazing prompt. I literally can just click deep research and go do that. The other interesting thing, so look, Google is still like, look, it's running. Think about this. This didn't cost me anything. I didn't have to pay anything for Google to do this for me. And it's still in the thinking stage. So it literally is iterating over every single title, right? Immensely helpful. All right, warming up the chat. So it's really important to warm up the chat, which means to give it context on who you are. And so once you have warmed up the chat, you can do this thing which is creative constraint with context. So a model needs a lot of context to be able to have great answers for you. So it needs to just start talking with it. And then it can be ultra creative, but only if it's constrained, which is this is why you'll see the other model Google does really well. I gave it constraint. I'm looking to do this exact same thing. It was super, super helpful. The meta prompt process, basically take everything I've said above and rewrite the prompt. You saw me do that. Question and answer mode. This is actually really helpful because you have to basically say, what I generally do is I say like, hey, if you don't use if you until I say the word Pop Tart, don't exit question mode. So there's a lot of assumptions that exist in your head that you probably are not saying all these models, and it's very, very useful for the model to ask you questions to get at the things that you're not saying, and then switch over to answer mode. Inversion. Here's the output. How do I get to X? So let's actually try that, and let's try this in back into Claude. This design thing is really incredible. In Claude 2, I generally try use extended thinking and I'll use style explanatory and it'll actually spit out more things for me. All right, let's. All right, if I wanted to send an email to the mayor that was about my concern for crime, why don't you first write the most compelling email that I could, and then reverse backwards into all of the data that I would need or the background information that I would need, both about the mayor and about city trends to be able to write this email. So, first, craft a fictional but like ultra compelling narrative that I can send the mayor an email about my thoughts on crime, and then go figure out how we go justify that. So I'm not suggesting you should do this. This is called manipulation. But generally what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, this is my expected output. This in a fictional world, this is what I would like to do. How do I get there? This inversion thinking is like one of the most powerful tools you'll ever grave concern. Three smash into the car windows on my block. Oh, it knows where I'm in the Richmond. That's funny. It knows that I'm there. Um, I have been in San Francisco for 15 years. That's crazy. I don't know why Claude knows that. 16. So see, this is an example why this is funny. This is in the Richmond. Uh, so crime stats and trends, right? So basically, it took and worked backwards. All right, let's go back to the translation, which is, hey, speak to me like I'm an idiot. I do this all the time, which is, hey, I don't know anything about a given topic. Just translate it for me. This is really helpful if you're speaking in a very like jargon rich, like healthcare is so jargon rich. One step at a time. When I'm trying to like one thing I'll do with the models, and I'll give you an example. I'm trying to build a scraper on Apify of the Trees Are Good website. It's a website to find arborists. And what I want you to do is help me think through all of the things that I would need to do to write a page function inside of Apify. So I just want to create the scraper with you, but speak to me like I'm an idiot, like I don't know anything. Just tell me the absolute first step. This is really, really helpful because you're basically saying the models, like, I want to go step by step. The models will give you 50 steps at a time. Don't let them do that. Give other ways to think about the problem. That is also very helpful. Different lenses on the problem. Right at an eighth grade level, Claude is really, really, really good about, and this creates great copy. We say right at an eighth grade level. And then act as. So act as a CRO, act as an SDR combined. So, one thing that I talked about yesterday, which was like basically go find the experts that have spoken the most about a topic and get them together on a panel. Okay, last thing, and then I'm going to close out. Um, Basically, it's like here are the exact steps. Writing your first page function, and then so you want to say like, here's my goal. Here's what I'm doing. I want to take this step by step at a time, and it's really important to say to the models, what do you need from me to do the next step well? What are things that you might be missing? Because the models will just take a shot at it. They don't usually have enough information to do that, depending on what you're trying to do. These are my model tips for 2025. Um, my new course is out, Who to Target, What to Say. You can go to course.blueprintgtm and read all about it if you'd like. In there, we go over the PVP framework, which is how to do a lot of the stuff that I'm doing with AI to structure data for a message that they would pay to receive. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to hear from you. See you on the flip side.